Hey everyone, it's the Vegan Preppers here bringing you another couple chat. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some life update stuff, some updates in the storage room, and then I will share some tips and tidbits about how to keep your garden safe from excess heat. Because I know that there's a lot of people who are experiencing heat and they're not used to it. And of course, I'm totally used to heat. So I have all the stuff about how to keep your garden safe from heat. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, though. Your life update?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, I get to start a new job tomorrow.
Nice.
So, after 18 years of doing the same thing, I am moving up in the world. So, yeah, I'm moving into management.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You deserve it, 100%. It's like the smartest thing on earth that anybody in management at your work has ever done, I think. Bringing you into that team. Incredible.
Yeah.
It's so amazing too. It's just like I don't know, we probably shouldn't give too many details, but like I just feel like it's so much kind of like a miracle, you know, and because you have been a technician this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so many times we heard there's no way that a tech will ever move into a management position, or they wouldn't ever consider a tech for a management position. And he just keeps being so excellent. How can they deny him? And, you know, people being put in the right spot, like right time, right place, right time. And he has a person advocating for him, you know, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's been a cool story.
Yeah.
So.
Really cool. I don't know if we can give too many details without talking about like where he works. So that's the reason I don't really want to share, because we don't necessarily want to broadcast where you work. But yeah, it's really cool. The really neat thing for me too, though, is that like finding out, which I'm sure was a little bit gratifying for you, that the people upstairs know who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Yes, there was some concerns voiced that they would be lacking because they were pulling me out of what I'm good at and moving me into something else that I will be good at. They didn't want to lose me at what they know I'm good at.
Right. Well, because you're just truly exceptional, of course, and so it was like a bit of a like, what are we going to do without him? Not that there's not a single other good tech in the building or anything like that. It's just they know who you are. So that was really cool. But then, yeah, he's got another person advocating, like, you can't punish him for being excellent. It's kind of like that old story, right, where sometimes they don't want to promote you because you do too good of a job at what you're currently doing. And they don't want to lose that. So, but yeah, you're getting promoted for being excellent now. So
Win.
Yay! So we're truly so excited. I feel like it represents a new chapter for our family. And yeah, it's going to be some crazy hours. No more weekends off, at least for a little while. So it's going to be a little different in our family now. So we're going to have to figure out kind of what that looks like. And it's so funny because it feels like it's happened very fast. So it's like having to like suddenly like, whoa, it's like a completely new thing happening in our family now. So yeah, we'll be figuring that out, but super happy about it.
Yep.
It's exciting. We've been wanting this for a long time. This has been kind of a really long time in the works, but then once it happened, it was like within just like a week or two, it's been that you've even like applied.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks since I applied.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's been so fast, but yeah.
Yeah, I was rapidly approaching the 20-year mark in my career, and didn't want to go past 20 years doing the same thing. So, I'm at 18 and a half years.
Yeah.
So.
It's incredible. His career could vote. Yeah. That's amazing, though. Congrats.
Thank you.
You deserve it. Super excited.
So let's talk about you now.
Okay. It's my favorite subject.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so cute. Yeah, so, we've talked kind of briefly here and there about my fitness journey on this channel, and so lately I've been prioritizing exercise a lot more, and I'm excited. Tomorrow I'm going to be starting with a personal trainer. So I'm going to be doing strength training and stuff, and my goal now is to be a bit muscular, which is not gray man at all, but like buff chick with all this curly hair. And I thought my gray hair was going to be like, you know, a big thing, but no. So yeah, I'm excited for that moving forward. I'm already getting stronger with some of the stuff that I've been doing on my own. I just continue moving forward. Always moving forward. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's basically it.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot more to say about that. I mean, I'm sure I do. I could come up with something, but I'm going to try to keep it short.
Cool.
So yeah.
What's this thing behind us?
I don't know. That's what I was to say. What are you sitting in front of? Oh, we didn't even work it out. We have the same transitions. Okay. Yes. Another new thing. You talk about it.
2 quite large shelving units we've picked up at Lowe's a couple days ago. So they are 2 foot by 4 foot by 6 foot. Yes.
Sure.
Storage shelves. So we picked up a pair of those. So we've got a ton of square footage of storage space now in the pantry, storage room thing.
The studio, which is turning into the pantry. So this is the wall. If you watch past videos, that where like all the totes were. So now this is still going to be the wall where all the totes are, but now there's going to be shelving, and I'm also going to be able to put like the buckets over here, and it's going to be a lot more organized. And so that's fantastic for me because like I've said before, like I always considered myself a prepper, or well, I didn't, you know, there's like a term like lately. It's like a whole like don't let me get on a tangent. But have you ever noticed that it seems like lately everything has to have a name?
Yes.
Everything has to have like a term. Everyone's like, I'm this or I'm that. And it's like, I just feel like I'm smart. Like you just stock up on stuff. Like that's just smart. That's the way people have always lived. It's just smart. But now there's a word for what I am, which is a prepper. And I didn't even really realize that until last year. But I thought that I was really well stocked until I started looking at the calories of what we actually had on hand. So like a visual volume of food looks extreme, but once you start doing the math on what you actually have, you start realizing how little you have, usually, if you haven't started yet. So that's sort of an FYI. But so now we've been like actively really building the stock up with the goal of 1 whole year of food. This is not even gonna hold a whole year of food. It's a huge amount of food, but that is the goal that we're currently working towards now. But I'm like, what was my point? It was beginning to exceed my ability to store it. That's what my point was, that it was just becoming a stressor for me because I didn't have a place for it. And that is one thing about me, as like I am ADHD, as flighty, as weird as I am, I'm visually very much like I want stuff a certain way, like visually. And I think a lot of it has to do with how visual my brain is. And so I need for things to be visually organized because that's how I intake data or whatever. So yeah, it was becoming stressful for me that I did not have a visual organization of all the food. So now this is going to be some long-term storage, but like mostly, you know, being able to access the working buckets and things like that. It's going to be really great. So I'm exceedingly happy that we have this now and I can like have some peace again. So I mean, and then we'll have to figure out, probably another one can go on the other wall. I don't know, like we're gonna have to be figuring this out. It's a huge thing to deal with. We've talked about many times on the channel that finding places to put what you stock is a huge issue. Like, what do you even do? What do you do if you don't have a spare room in your house? Not that this, I don't know, this wasn't a spare room, but you know, it's like we had to rearrange everything when Sage was born.
Yep.
And so the old living room became the boys' room. Now both the boys are sharing that large space. And then the old dining room is now the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a 3-bedroom house. We like finagle stuff and make it work. Built a sliding door, which is kind of cool, over the opening leading into the old living room. So now it's a room, it's just, we've done so many things. And then this was supposed to be my studio for not just like my crafts. Not that I guess that there's nothing wrong with having a studio for crafts, but I run a business since 2006. I have a jewelry business, and I was going to be running that out of here, and I'm still running it out of here. But now all the food stuff is. I was going to have like yoga in here. So anyway, whatever. It's all good. I got off on a tangent. You let me get on a tangent. I told you don't.
Fail.
You're no help. No, you are. But anyway, yeah. So it's just, I guess the point being, it's difficult. So if you're out there and you're struggling with where you're putting stuff, I'm with you. Even though I have all this space, it's like, I can't imagine if somebody didn't have a room that they could start converting into a pantry. What would you do with all that food?
I don't know.
I can't even fathom. So, yeah. Houses are not built with big pantries or root cellars or basements or whatever anymore. So it's like, where are you going to put it? Well, you're going to put it in a room, and then people say you're crazy and you're a hoarder, Or you go vegan, and then people say you're crazy. So, we're used to it.
Yep.
But yeah. So, I guess you really should have talked about, not should, sorry, I don't mean to shit on you, but the shelf thing is also so that you can talk about like what you're going to do to modify it.
Yes.
Yes. So go ahead. He can talk the tech stuff about the shelves, the shelving.
Okay. So this is what's known as a boltless shelving system. Basically, the shelves have rivets on them, and they slide down into these little grooves on here. The thing says that it's rated to 800 pounds per shelf, but the shelf boards aren't thick enough for that to be true. They're only about 3/8 of an inch thick. Expected them to be much thicker than that. And on this particular unit itself, the fit together wasn't amazing. So some of the shelf brackets are curved more than I would like. So that's going to compromise the integrity of these rather thin wood panels. So, because there's MDF. So I made some supports, and I just cut them out on the bandsaw this so they'll fit into the shape that's on the back here, and I'll secure them under here with a couple of screws, and that will give it an extra support in the middle, and it will also draw those curved bars together. I would love it if I didn't have to modify a shelf that I just bought, but these are $100 each. The ones that you don't have to modify are about $250 each. So
we have a little intruder.
So you're saying hello. So for some scrap wood I had in the garage and a couple hours of work, I can turn these into much more structurally sound shelves for still significantly less money.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Do what we gotta do.
Yeah, I think it's great. So we probably are going to film that, especially if you guys tell us you want to see that. But yeah, especially, I don't know, you're going to be drilling through the metal.
Correct.
And all that. Yeah, we probably should be filming that.
Yeah.
And showing people what your process is.
It's a relatively simple process, but it's a lot of drilling many holes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Cool. Awesome.
So how do we keep our gardens from turning into ash in the middle of summertime?
The flaming ball of death. Well, I can tell you, I guess, a lot of what has served me so far. So I've been gardening here for how many years? I never remember.
6 or 7, it seems.
6 something years. And last year, so last year was the first year. I guess we were not like, I guess I don't really give myself a lot of credit, like, ever. He's like, I'm the best. Whatever. I'm just always like, I know nothing. I'm so dumb or whatever. No, I don't call myself dumb, but I just like, anyway, last year was the first time I ever gave myself a little bit of credit because I was like, everybody was complaining about everything in their gardens dying and my garden was like flourishing. I actually had the best summer I've ever had last year in the garden. And so last year was the hottest summer that we have had on record thus far in the central Arizona Valley. We had over 50.
2021's like, hold my beer.
Yeah. 2021 is, 2020 though, we had over 50 110 degree plus Fahrenheit days. And as many times as I've written what the Celsius is, I don't remember what it is, so I'm going to put it right here. So 110 degrees Fahrenheit plus over 50 days like that. So that's more than we've ever had before. I don't know that they hit the hottest temperature they've ever had. It was just the most consistently, ridiculously high heat. This summer, it looks like we may surpass it because today was already 118 and it's June. We don't typically see temperatures like that until July and August. That's typically when we hit our hottest crazy temperatures. So anyway, last year though, I had, like I said, a flourishing garden. Everything was wonderful. We had so much produce coming in. I had tomatoes coming out my ears last year from these few plants, ripening way past the point when they were supposed to stop ripening. Just various things like that. Now, I did lose every single one of my zucchini to squash bugs. So it's not like 100%, there's always a little bit here and there, but overall it was like the most successful thing. And so I started looking at a lot of the things that I have put in place and realizing, I've got some stuff. So mainly, I don't have shade cloth over the top of the yard, but honestly, that is something that I want to do. I want to put shade cloth over the garden, but we haven't even done that yet. I would say number one thing that was our game changer for gardening was, do you remember the number one thing? I'm just trying to involve you.
Wood chips?
Yes. You can see it was so marked of a difference that even he remembers. Not that he does remember things, but I'm just saying, like, this is more my thing, but he knows. The wood chips were the game changer for us. Now, I understand that there are a lot of climates where you're a lot more moist, and wood chips are just like basically slug homes, and so you deal with a lot of slugs. We don't deal with slugs here. I don't know if slugs, I don't think you'd even have to pour salt on a slug to dry it up here. Like,
physically impossible for them to live here.
They just cannot. So slugs are not a thing that we deal with. So wood chips are very important to us. So wood chips do multiple things. They protect the surface layer of the soil. So you have all kinds of beautiful bacteria. The microbiome of the soil is so wonderful, but also somewhat fragile. And the sun here is definitely hot enough that it beats on that soil and it can kill. So not only are you forming like a dry, crusty top layer that rejects water, like you can put water on top and it just like flows right off because you've got like a crusty layer. It also destroys and kills the microbiome at the surface level of the soil. So putting wood chips on helps to maintain moisture, but it also shades the soil. So the wood chips is actually like a shade. And so the other thing that's great about the wood chips is they retain moisture. So rather than moisture just like evaporating straight off of the soil, it kind of goes into the wood chips and then it can go right back into the soil. So it's kind of like helps regulate the water. So you don't have to use quite as much because you're not losing as much, but then also it in and of itself, the wood is kind of like going back and forth with the water. So it's actually really cool. So wood chips for sure were like a major game changer for us. And so I wood chip all of my beds, wood chips everywhere. We're even beginning to wood chip the paths. So that was something that we started last year as well, right? Because the main thing is combating the dryness and combating the extreme heat. And so I always say the words extreme heat, and I just don't know that people understand what I'm talking about. Like 118. I don't know. And people will say, oh, but it's a dry heat. Exactly.
Really bad for your garden.
Yeah, it's like exactly. It's like you put a drop of water on something and it's just gone. Like, and actually that is also something that happens here, is that it gets so hot here that it can rain and the rain will not hit the ground because it evaporates in the air. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what we deal with. So anyway, we're beginning to also wood chip in between the beds, which I also think is a great help, because the hard clay soil that we have in our yard, which is what a lot of places have, just like a bare clay soil, I feel like it gets as hot as asphalt.
It's pretty hot.
It's really hot. And so we've begun to wood chip around the beds as well, also to cut down on some of that ambient heat and just the radiating heat. At this point, we're still only watering once a day. And so we're not using very much water compared to what a lot of people use, but we're probably going to need to increase that pretty soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cutting down on the heat as much as possible. So wood chipping around to cut down that ambient heat. But then also for us, the hottest time of the day is early afternoon to the evening. So it's really like 2 or 3 o'clock. So it's not when the sun is at its highest. It's when the sun has already been super high for a while. So it's like 2 or 3 o'clock is when we hit our highest temperatures. So the sun is kind of traveling a little bit more towards the west at that point. So I plant large shade plants that can take the heat on the west sides of my beds. And that was something that I did last year. And absolutely the bed that did the best last year was the bed that has the massive rosemary bushes on the west side, up above the edge of the west side of the beds, so that as the sun was traveling to its hottest point of the day, the bed was actually getting shaded by that rosemary. And the rosemary could not care less about how hot it is. The rosemary is just like, bring it. I love it. Okay. Thank you, sir. May I have enough? Like, kind of like, it's just like the rosemary does not quit. So I have rosemary planted on another bed now, which is also getting huge. And so that one's going to protect that bed. But in other beds, also I did sunflowers and hibiscus sabdurifa, this Jamaican sorrel, is another plant that you can plant all through July. Like, it just loves the heat. And so sunflowers are a great one. There's several plants that are really great at taking the heat. Loofah is a great one too. I have my little list of like the plants, like a seed pack. I wanted to put together a seed pack and call it Some Like It Hot. But it's like my star plants for planting in the heat. Garlic chives is another one. It just seems to love the heat. So I can make a list, but the thing is like that, and that's my extreme heat. So you might have some plants that will do really well in the kind of heat that you have if you don't get to like 118. But also I think it's knowing what to plant and when, planting seasonally. So like, I'm not planting strawberries in summer. They will die a fiery death. Or celery, or you know, these are fall and winter crops for me. Actually, strawberries we plant in December here. So it's also knowing what to plant and when. So checking with your local extension office, or seeing if there's somebody locally who knows what they're doing, who has made a calendar, so that you can follow like a schedule of somebody who knows things. And that's actually how I found out about all like those plants that I just mentioned. Although the rosemary was a surprise. I did not know about the rosemary. Moringa, grapevines, those as well. Anyway, yeah, I think those are some of my main tips, is the wood chips, cutting down on ambient heat as much as possible, and using plants themselves as your shades. So you're creating like an organic shade, but rosemary is also doing a lot, like it's bringing in praying mantises. I have praying mantis that live in my rosemary every year. And they scare me because they're like this big. And I try really hard not to disturb them. But they're also really cool. I also really love my praying mantis populations that kind of invade the yard. And I know that they're kind of a good and bad bug. because they eat everything. But I don't know. I love them. They seem to help, although they didn't help with the squash bugs last year.
No, they were really lazy about that.
What's up with that? Gosh, it's because I screamed at them one too many times.
Fine, we'll just stay hiding.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. What's another thing? I'm trying to think. Those are my main things. Oh yeah, we planted in channels. So that's another thing. Is the beds do leak water, and water is so precious. I do not want to waste it. So the rosemary is planted in a channel on the side of the beds. And then also when I talk about planting sunflowers, there's a channel on the sides of the beds. And then those are watered pretty much from the runoff of the main garden bed. All my garlic chives as well. Other things I have planted in the channels along the beds to catch that runoff water, but just also every little bit that you can put on the sides of the beds helps. So watermelon vines, cantaloupe vines, plant your vining plants, and don't trellis it. Put them down and let the vines cover the sides of the beds. Shade, water retention, all that. Anyway, a lot of stuff. So, all right, I think that's it from me. I'm gonna stop talking about that because I could continue. But
if you guys are looking for wood chips and you don't have some kind of a landscaping company that'll drop them off, and that's going to give you questionable results anyways. The larger home improvement stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, you can buy cedar wood chips in big bags, and for the size beds that we have, it takes like 1 or 1.5 bags. If we're gonna go really crazy, we go 2 bags per bed. Our beds are 3 by 6 feet, and the bags are $4.50 or $5.
Yeah, that's what they were. I wonder if
there might be more
now with lumber.
But yeah, that stuff is real nice, and it's supposed to repel bugs somewhat, the smell of cedar
bugs.
oil. But after you water them a whole bunch, they're not really going to have any of that.
They get bleached.
Yeah.
They don't break down very well. So if you're wanting something that's going to break down into the soil, but I mean, if that's what you have, that's what you have. That's what we have. That's what we've been using. But yeah, be careful when you start wood chipping. Do not mix the wood chips into the soil as much as you can avoid it. So like when we plant, we move the wood chips and put the stuff in and then put the wood chips back over. Oh, the other thing about the wood chips, now that I'm back onto talking, is it keeps the birds from eating your seeds. So if you plant your seeds, and if you've ever planted seeds and then gone inside and watched hopelessly as birds came and ate all your seeds out of your yard, wood chips are great for that too. And the plants will just grow right up through the wood chips. Like, they're fine. They can do it. So, I mean, I'm not talking like super thick layers or whatever, but yeah. Sometimes I'll plant a seed and then I'll just put like a little area that's not going to be fully covered by wood chips. For the most part, everything just comes right up through and they are fine. They actually seem to love it. But yeah, it protects the seeds from your birds. So yeah. I think that will be it for real for me.
Cool. I don't think I have anything else.
Okay, awesome. So I think that was good. Hopefully that was helpful. And yeah, I know it's a big thing as people are trying to plan and things are just getting hotter, like everywhere. I keep hearing that. Everyone is hotter and hotter and hotter. And so, yeah, anyway.
We were hot before it was cool.
I love you so much. You're the best ever. Was it like, did you feel like a little bit of an existential crisis when you found out that dad jokes are a thing?
Yeah.
You like
it's a bit of a problem, yeah.
Like it's not just you? Like you're not unique.
Yes.
In your...
For years and years, I've liked corny jokes. I thought they were just corny jokes. Yeah, and then it turns out it's like a thing that all dads like dumb jokes.
Or make dumb jokes or whatever. It's just like, it's so funny. I was laughing too. I was sort of like, wait, that's what Adam does. You're just one of them.
Yeah, I thought it was something special, but just one of the crowd.
Yeah, you're very special. I love you. All right, cool. Then I guess that's it. So as always, I hope the rest of your day is good in your life. Stays wonderful. We really mean that. And if you have any more questions or comments or whatever, talk to us down in the comments. We love seeing that. So I guess we'll see you later. Bye.